And today I want to talk about disaster recovery with Azure SQL Data Warehouse. And to begin, I really want to talk about a feature that was released with Gen 2 of Azure SQL Data Warehouse called Geo Backup Policy. And so if we see on this screenshot here of my configuration of an Azure SQL Data Warehouse, I have a menu shown here for the Geo Backup Policy. And my selection there says that it's enabled, but I don't really have the choice of turning this on and off. And so this is something that is turned on by default and cannot be turned off with Gen 2. And what Geo Backup Policy does for us is that it's going to automatically create backups of our Azure SQL Data Warehouse to storage in a different region, or in a region other than where our data warehouse is hosted. Now, it's important to understand that if I'm still using a Gen 1 Azure SQL Data Warehouse, I can opt out of this feature, but by default, this feature will be turned on. So if I create a new Gen 1 data warehouse, it will have this Geo Backup Policy enabled automatically. And we'll see there in the notes that I've highlighted, what this really means is that my backups are automatically taken and stored in the other set, or the other region in a region pair. And what a region pair is, I'm showing this on this next screenshot here, is Microsoft has created these pairings of regions. So for example here, if I have a data warehouse hosted in East US, its backups are going to be taken and then stored, the geo backups I should say, are stored in West US. Now this is a partial list of these region pairings. The full list is available on Microsoft's website, but it kind of gives you an idea of where your geo replicas will be stored. The idea here really is that each of the regions in a pair are generally more than 300 miles apart from each other. There are a few exceptions, but the idea here, of course, is that any outage that's impacting your home region, if you will, should not impact the geo replica region. So that's the idea with these paired regions. Now, a couple of interesting points about the geo backups. The geo backups are only performed once per day. And so I don't want to get this confused with the backups that are happening on the original or the local copy, if you will. Those are still happening via snapshots throughout the day. And so that's more frequently, but it's really the geo backup that's done just once per day. In the event that I do need to do a restore, I can restore that geo backup to any other region that supports the Azure SQL Data Warehouse product. So I'm not limited to restoring it to the paired region that Microsoft has determined for me. So I can, again, take that backup and restore it anywhere I want. And the other point that I want to make here is that the solution that I'm talking about here with the backups is not a high availability or an automatic failover type solution. Okay, so this is a lot different than some of the features we have available for redundancy, if you will, and high availability with Azure SQL Database. And so this is not any type of synchronous replication, and there's no automatic failover to point to the backup data center or anything like that. This is strictly a backup process. So this was a really interesting feature of Azure SQL Data Warehouse Gen 2 with the Geo Backup Policy that I thought was interesting to share. If you have any questions about this, disaster recovery in Azure SQL Data Warehouse, or any other Azure data topics, please reach out. Let us know. Thank you.